Good day, Nixers, and once again, welcome to this series about marine electricity and electrical maintenance. In the previous videos, we have discussed about power distribution system. Isa sa mga systems na diniscuss natin is the motor starters, or specifically, the main switchboard starters. And we have discussed that these starters are actually starters for our pumps, starters for our fans, which are actually run by using an electric motor. Now, in today's session, we will explore how to start these electric motors. So this will be our topic of interest, the AC motor starting methodologies. At the end of this lesson, the learner shall be able to identify and explain how each component of a motor starter works, specifically the push button switches, the contactor, the pilot lamps, and the timer relay. Okay, and then we will explain how a holding contact works. And lastly, we will explain the following starting methods for AC motors and its characteristics. And these are the direct online motor starter, the power resistance starting, compensator starting, and the star delta motor starting. So without further ado, let's start. So in this particular simulation, so we will be using the Festo Fluid Sim Simulator. Okay, so gagamitin natin to class in order to visualize ano ba yung nangyayari sa loob ng bawat motor starter components. Okay, so kuha tayo ng electrical supply. In this case class, yung gagamitin ko lang muna is 24 volts pero pwede din na to 20 volts yung gamitin natin dyan. So this will just actually serve as our power supply to our control circuit or to our motor starter. Okay, so now we will insert our push button. This push button, as you can see, is a normally open na push button. Okay, then we will interconnect these 2 points with wires. Okay, this is our supply. We'll connect it with a push button. So tingnan niyo yung mangyayari class. Okay, we press this one, yung step by step. Okay, okay, so as you can see, yung cursor natin naging kamay. And if we go near to our push button, so aakma siya na parang pipindot doon sa ating push button. Okay, now notice when I press this one, okay, so this will indicate that our push button changed its state from normally open naging closed. Now what happens? Okay, the moment that we press that one, okay, there's a change of state, current will pass through. Current will pass through from our 24 volt supply, passing through our switch, passing through the 0 volt, okay, for our ground. Now, sabi na dito, simulation aborted. A short circuit was detected in an electrical circuit, meaning this particular instance, since wala tayong load na kinabit, okay, walang papaanda rin yung ating system, okay, kaya there's a short circuit. Okay, so ang mangyayari is kailangan nating kabitan ng load. Okay, so how do we do that? What we'll do, okay, tap muna natin. Gagawin natin class is, we'll actually, tanggalin muna natin tong wire na ito. Kakabitan natin siya ng indicator light. This is the symbol, schematic symbol for a pilot lamp. So mangyayari dito is that we will interconnect or normally open na switch papunta dito sa ating pilot lamp. So yan. Okay. And let's see what happens. Okay. Kung kanina nagkaroon tayo ng short circuit, tingnan natin kung anong mangyayari ngayon. Okay. So we play this simulation. Okay. So again, it will turn into a hand. Then we press this one. Okay, so this will indicate change state. And then, okay, what will happen? So current will actually start flowing from the supply, passing through our switch, okay, powering up our pilot lamp, and going back to our return terminal or the 0 volt. Okay? So, umilaw yung ating pilot lamp. But as we go further, okay, another step, ipansinin niyo yung mangyayari sa push button. Okay? Yan. So, bibitaw si push button. The moment na bumitaw si push button, okay, then that's the time no current will flow and the pilot lamp will stop working. Meaning, itong ating push button is actually a momentary switch. When we press the button, our pilot lamp turns on. Pero the moment na binitawan natin, okay, it will turn off. Okay? So that's basically how this particular normally open push button functions together with a pilot lamp when connected to a power supply. Now, what about a normally closed na push button? Okay, so I will interconnect another line. Okay, we will interconnect another pilot lamp. So in this case, okay, palitan natin ang kulay. And then after that, we will interconnect a push button normally closed. Kabit din siya dito. So the system will be connected in parallel to our first circuit. Okay, so this one connected here. Ito naman, connectan natin dyan. And then ito, connectan natin dito sa abaw. Okay? Now let's observe what happens. Okay? So yan. Okay? Automatically, current will pass through from our power supply to the switch, normally closed switch. Okay? Turning on our pilot lamp. Okay? And going back to our return terminal. Okay? So in this case, kung mapapansin nyo dito, umilaw na agad. But on the first line of our circuit, okay, hindi umilaw yung ating pilot lamp because the switch that is connected to it is normally open. Okay? Now, if I press this one, okay, there will be a change state. Pansinin nyo anong mangyayari dito sa pilot lamp natin. Okay? We'll go over this step by step. Okay, so first step, so nawala yung ating kuryente. So the current is cut. Okay? And then if we go step further, okay, yan, babalik sa normal position yung ating switch, normally closed. From normally closed, naging open kanina. Then, nung binitawan natin, babalik siya sa normally closed condition. Then, what will happen? It will actually light up. Okay? So this particular connection, itong ginawa natin dito, we call this actually a ladder diagram. Ladder, meaning para siyang hagdanan. Okay, parang hagdanan. In this case, ito yung hawakan, okay, ng hagdanan natin. So yung hawakan ng hagdanan, we call this the rails. Okay? And ito naman, ito yung tinatapakan natin na part ng hagdanan. And we call this the rungs of our ladder diagram. So this is the first rung and this is the second rung. Okay? In this case, our second rung is active or there is current flowing through our second rung. Okay? And this is how a normally closed push button behaves when connected to a load, in this case a pilot lamp, okay? When also there is a power supply that is involved. Okay? But again, I would like to emphasize that these switches are actually momentary switches, meaning pag binitawan natin, babalik siya sa kanyang normal state na normally open or normally closed. Now what about what I want to control this pilot lamp utilizing two switches? Okay? At yung behavior ng circuit is that kapag pinindot ko yung unang switch, iilaw yung pilot lamp. Pag naman pinindot ko yung pangalawang switch, iilaw pa rin yung pilot lamp. Kapag pinindot ko yung dalawang switch, ilaw pa rin yung pilot lamp. Pero kapag walang pinindot na switch, okay, hindi iilaw yung pilot lamp. How do we create that particular circuit? Try to imagine that one. Paano ba natin i-connecta yung ating switches? What type of switches will you use? Will we use normally open or normally closed? So those are the typical decision that we will be doing. Okay? What we will do is actually we will interconnect another switch sa ilalim. Normally open pa din. And then we will connect this in parallel to our pilot lamp. Okay? What will happen? Okay? I press this one, current will flow. Okay? Pag binitawan naman natin, hindi na iilaw. If I press this one, okay? Iilaw yung ating pilot lamp. Okay? Pero pag nabitawan, hindi din. Okay? Pinindot naman natin yung dalawa. Okay? Yan. Iilaw pa rin yung ating pilot lamp. Okay? But, pag walang pinindot, sa dalawang switch, hindi siya iilaw. Now, think about this one. If our pilot lamp is actually a motor, okay? Meaning, we can control our motor using two different switches. Okay? Pwede yung isa nasa this location, this another switch is okay, nasa malayo. Okay? But they will control the same output or the same device, which is our electric motor. Okay? So, pwede pala na mangyari yun. Na dalawang switch, i-control niya yung isang bagay. Okay? We will be actually be able to do that if we connect the two switches in parallel. And we will connect these two switches that are in parallel in series with our load. Okay, in this case, pilot lamp, or for our example, is a motor. Now we have this circuit once again. This one. So alam na natin kung paano ito gumagana. But what about kung gusto ko na the moment i-press ko to, although iilaw yung pilot lamp, meron akong pipindutin na button dito. Kapag pinindot ko yan, mamamatay ang pilot lamp. How do I do that? Okay. Again, may switch tayo. Pag pinindot, iilaw. Pero gusto natin, kahit na pinindot yan, kapag pinindot natin yung another switch dito, hindi iilaw yung ating load or pilot lamp. Okay, so how do we do that? So what we'll do, we'll disconnect this line, and then we will introduce a normally closed push button switch, okay, in series with our circuit. Okay? So we'll try to run the simulation. So pag pinindot natin to, okay, yan. Current will pass through the normally closed, okay, then pass through the switch that we press na normally open, then iilaw ito. And then, okay, going to the return terminal. So umilaw yung ating load. At the moment that I press this one, okay, current will no longer be able to pass through. Okay? Na kahit na pinindot natin itong button na ito, automatically this load will stop lighting. Okay? So if we go step further, there will be no flow of current. Okay? And then, when the switches return to its normal state, this one bumalik na, ito naman bumalik sa pagiging open, our lamp will actually turn off. What's the essence of these two previous activities? Okay? What we are trying to drive at here is that we can control the same load, okay, using two normally open push button switches that are connected in parallel. Okay? And we will be able to stop particular load by interconnecting a normally closed push button in series with our load. Again, normally open, connected in parallel, be able to turn on our load. Normally closed, connected in series, will be able to stop the current or to stop the load from turning on. That's basically what we are trying to drive at in this particular explanation. Now, what about when we use electromagnetism in the control of our motor starters? So how does electromagnetism affect the control mechanism of our starting methodology? Okay? In this case, we will now be using a contactor. So how does control of these particular circuits happen? Okay? So in that case, okay, instead of a pilot lamp here, tatanggalin ko muna yan, papalitan natin yan ng this one. The coil of our contactor. Okay, so in this case, kakabit natin yan. Okay, and then, dito sa second rung, dito natin ilalagay yung ating pilot lamp. Okay, and then we will also interconnect a make switch. Okay, this one, a make switch. We will connect that in parallel with our first rung. And then another pilot lamp. And then, instead of a make switch, gagamitin natin is a break switch. This one. Or you can think of this as normally open na switch and normally close na switch. Okay? Yan. Okay, so we still have our stop push button here. Okay, normally open. Now, very important in ladder diagrams, ang pangalan ng coil at pangalan ng contacts. Okay? So, why did I emphasize that? So, let's say for example, this coil. Okay? So, for example, this is the coil of our contactor. So, kung titingnan nyo dyan sa right side of our screen, nandyan yung contactor. So, ito yung symbol. A circle is the symbol for our coil. Sabi natin kanina, pag may kuryente na dumaloy dito, lahat ng contacts magti-change state. Yung normally open magiging close, yung normally close magiging open. Okay? In this case, yung pinakauna natin gagawin sa diagram is pangalanan itong particular element na ito. So let's say for example, tatawagin natin siya, label natin siya as M. Okay? Or MC1, magnetic contactor 1. Okay, so yan na yung kanyang pangalan. Galin muna natin yung mga path numbering. Okay? So these are the name of our coil. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin class is lahat din ng mga contacts, papangalanan natin ng MC1. And notice the change. Tingnan nyo anong mangyayari on this particular contact. Nung change natin yung kanyang pangalan to MC1. Okay? So, from that particular make switch, naging normally open na contact. Meaning, whenever this coil energizes, this contact will change state. Magiging closed. Follows na pag ito pinangalanan ko na MC1, okay, pansinin nyo anong mangyayari. The break switch will actually turn into a normally closed contact of this particular contactor. The coil and the contacts. Think about this one. This contacts is actually the auxiliary contacts of our contactor. Okay? So, if we run this circuit, tingnan nyo let's play. Yan. Even if our coil is not energized, since this is a normally closed contact, current will flow. Okay? Now, if we press this button, okay, So there will be current that will flow to this coil. Yan. Since there is current that flows to our coil, contacts will change state. Okay? Yan. Yung normally closed, naging open. Yung normally open, naging closed. At dito na sa second rung, umilaw yung ating pilot lamp. Okay? So lahat ng ito, itong mga contacts na to, itong auxiliary contacts na to, nakatingin sa ating coil. Okay? Now if I call this one, okay, stop natin yung simulation. If I call this one MC2, walang mangyayari. Okay? Hindi siya magiging normally closed na contact. But if I add another coil, and I will name this MC2. Yan. Magbabago yung kanyang form, indicating that this contact will look at the state of this coil. Kapag nagbago or kapag naging energize itong coil na ito, okay, there will be changes in this particular contact. Okay? So delete na natin yan. Balik natin sa MC1. Now, another thing na hindi natin na-try kanina is that, okay, kapag pinindot natin yan, okay, energize, change state, okay, but if I press this one, it will happen. Yan. No current will flow, de-energize yung ating contactor or yung ating coil. Since na de-energize, babalik sa normal state. From closed, magiging normally open. From open, magiging normally closed. Yan yung ating ma-observe dito. Yan. Okay? That's basically how a contactor naman behaves. Okay? Any changes in the coil will change the state of our contacts. Normally closed becomes open. Normally open becomes closed. One problem that exists in this circuit is that kailangan hawakan natin yung push button, okay, for our coil to remain energized. Okay? Para manatiling naka-energize yung ating coil, kailangan yung finger natin is pressing to the push button. Okay? Now to do away with that, okay, since hindi naman kayo hinire, okay, para pindutin yung push button, okay, every time. So in this case, kakabitan natin siya ng another component such that the moment na pinindot natin to, this coil will remain energized. Kahit na bitawan natin yung button. We can do that by using another. Okay? Since gusto nating manatiling nakaandar ito, mag-i-introduce tayo dito ng normally open na contact. Okay? We'll interconnect that in parallel with our switch na normally open. Okay? And then itong switch na to, itong contact na to, kapangalanan nating MC1. So kung kanina, we interconnected two normally open switches in parallel to start our load. In this case naman, we interconnected a normally open switch, push button switch, to a normally open contact. Okay? Yung contact nga na ito is looking at the coil state. Kapag itong coil na to nag-energize, this contact will close. Yun yung makikita natin dito. Okay, so we play the simulation. Okay. We press this one. Current will flow through here, energizing our coil. The moment this coil energizes, contacts will change state. Okay. Such that, kapag ito is binitawan natin, yan, there's still another path for our current to flow. And our coil will remain energized. Now, what if you want to stop the flow of current? Okay, you want to cut the flow of current to return to its normal state. Okay, you will just press this stop push button. Okay, pinutin lang natin yan. What will happen is, okay, de-energize or no flow of current to our coil. De-energize yung ating coil. Is de-energize yung ating coil, this will return to its normal state. Okay, from close magiging open, from open magiging close. Yan yung ating ma-observe. That's how, okay, this particular contact works. Ang tawag natin dito sa contact na to, class, is a holding contact. Okay? Since instead of you holding this particular push button over here for the load to remain turned on, this contact will hold it for you. Okay? That's basically how a holding contact works. Now, in this case, what if we interconnect a on-delay timer? So again, yung on-delay timer relay is actually works the same with a contactor. Yun nga lang, may mga delays that are involved. So ito ngang on-delay timer is there is a particular delay before the coil of the timer will actually be energized. Okay? Basically, that's how this particular circuit will work. So in this case, mapapansin natin dito, it will take, the delay time is 5 seconds. Meaning, after 5 seconds pa lang, magiging energized itong coil natin na ito. Kapag binitawan natin yung push button before 5 seconds, then this coil will not be energized. Okay? Tingnan natin. So you will actually notice a timer here the moment I press this button. Okay, so just observe. We will start the simulation. Okay, I'll press the button. After 5 seconds, yan. That's the time mag-energize. Okay? Then if I press stop, yan, bibitawan niya. If I press this button, pero bibitawan ko agad, the coil will not energize. Okay? Again, I press this button. After 5 seconds, coil energizes. Okay? Contacts will change state. Now notice here, class, that the contacts is actually not the same in form with the contacts for a contactor. Okay? This is actually to distinguish the contacts for the timer relay and the contacts for a contactor. Kung mapapansin nyo dito, there is a particular inverted Y shape connected to our normally open and normally closed switch, indicating that this is triggered by a timer relay coil. Okay, so this is for the on delay. Okay, we'll stop the simulation now. Okay, now what if we will not use a on delay timer, but instead we will use an off delay timer. Kanina SA, ito naman SR. Okay, so off delay timer is a timer relay such that the coil will de-energize, okay, after a certain delay. Okay, so kabaliktaran siya ng ating on delay. So we will observe that here. By the way, we'll call this, label this TR1, and notice the change in the form of this particular contacts. Yan. Okay, instead of an inverted Y, now there's a arrow pointing down. Okay, indicating that this is for off delay timer. Okay, so we will play the simulation. I'll press this button, automatic. Okay, it will turn, or it will energize our coil. There is no delay, unlike the on delay timer. But if I stop this particular, okay, I press the stop button, okay, current will be cut. But before the coil de-energizes, it will wait for 5 seconds before it will transfer, or it will de-energize. Okay, so when I press this one, I press this one for 5 seconds. Okay, hindi pwede na momentary. For example, that one. Hindi pwede. Stop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's the time it will actually de-energize. Okay, so again, press this one. No delay. But when we stop, okay, there is a delay. So the main purpose of on delay and off delay timers is actually to protect the motor starter in cases wherein there is an accidental pressing of the start and stop push button. Okay? Hindi natin yun gusto. Kailangan deliberate yung decision natin or desidido tayo na whenever we press the button is actually to start or to stop the motor or to stop the load. Okay? So, ganun yung purpose nitong timer relay. Another thing is timer relays are used for star delta motor starters. So, yun yung ating pag-aaralan later on the different types of AC motor starting methodologies. Okay?